Let us understand all about raw materials in Petpooja inventory. So first you have to log on to your owner's dashboard and then go to inventory section. Inside inventory you will have an option of going to raw materials. After clicking on raw materials, a screen same as mine would be visible. As you can see here, I have different column heads for the name of the raw material, the category of the raw material, whether it's favorite or not, whether it's available or not, when was the last time the raw material was modified, and by whom, along with 2 action buttons. Other than that, I have a list of functions available on the top hand side. The first one being adding new raw material, where you can click and fill up a form which will contain all the information of a specific raw material. The next button being of actions. Here you'll be given a list of actions which you can apply to raw materials. The first one being available, the second one being not available, the third one being favorite, fourth one being not favorite. Fifth action is of removing the raw materials, and the last action is of generating a barcode for the raw materials. As you know, it is very tedious to manage all the raw materials. So Petpooja gives you an option of generating a barcode which looks like this. Here, a particular raw material will be given a particular barcode, so you can join a laser scanner into your system and easily do entries related to raw materials, which can save a lot of human efforts. Available and not available actions are usually used to mark a raw material available or not available. If I will untick this and save my raw material list, all the items containing this specific raw material will be marked as not available. They will disappear from the menu if you link your menu with the inventory. The favorite action is mostly used to prioritize your raw materials as per your requirements. If I mark certain raw materials favorite during all of my journey inside inventory, whenever I'll need to assign or type in the name of raw materials, these few raw materials will be displayed on the top hand side. Removing will essentially delete the raw materials. For an example, I have selected these 3 raw materials here and I will click on remove, which will lead to deletion of those raw materials. The next function is of importing the raw materials. In case you already have a list of raw materials ready with you and you want to bulk upload them into Petpooja inventory, you can download an Excel sheet which looks like this and has all the particular column headings of the raw material form. Your information can be posted here. You can save it and then upload it back to Petpooja inventory. This will lead to updation of all of the raw materials in bulk. The second option is of exporting the visible raw materials inside your inventory. You can export the current view or you can export all of the raw materials. As soon as you click on export all, a CSV file will be generated which will have data regarding all of the raw materials inputted in the system with the necessary column headings. In case you want to search your raw material, you can type in the name of the raw material or filter it by category. Once clicking on search, the appropriate raw materials will be displayed. If you want to see all of the raw materials on the first page itself, you can click on show all and a long list of raw materials will be displayed here instead of it being divided into several pages. After doing any activity on this page, it is necessary to click on save raw material, which will lead to saving the changes made in the system. And we come on to the second last function, which is of copy raw material. Here, when we select few raw materials and click on copy raw material, it will display the list of kitchen, stores and restaurant you will already assign onto our system. This function is specifically used in case of chain outlets or an admin managing multiple outlets inside Petpooja. As you can see, all of my outlets using Petpooja are listed here, and I can select them as per my requirements. Once selected, I can click on save, and on those outlets, raw materials will be updated accordingly. There are two small buttons present here. The first button is for viewing the raw material, where essentially you can check all the details you inputted for the raw material. And the second button is of editing the raw material, which will open the identity form of the raw material. Now let us understand how to create a new raw material from scratch and what are the necessary that one needs to input into the system. For that, you need to click on Add New Raw Material. Here you can see a form which contains dialog boxes. The first one is of the name. Let us make a simple raw material for your understanding. I would like to create a raw material with the name of coconut. Inside the description box, you can put in any description which you'd like to display. For example, we can mention the state or the brand of the coconuts. Right now, I'm mentioning the state from which I'm purchasing the raw materials. This particular dialog box will be auto-populated once you put in the name. You can change this if you would like to. Essentially, this alphanumeric code will be used to create a barcode. As we all know, barcode is a language which is used by the laser scanner to understand what is written there. Essentially, it converts the code written here into barcode language. So the code which you want to use for creating the language needs to be inputted here. Then we come to the section of category. Categories as per your requirement, and also attach subcategories. We can also rank the raw material here. By rank, we can prioritize the raw material inside the view of raw materials. Essentially, they'll be displayed on the top hand side. If you want to create a new category, you can simply type in the name of category and press enter, which will lead to creation of a new category. The same applies for a subcategory. After that is done, the system will be asking us about the units that we're going to use for coconuts. There are two types of units, the first one being purchase unit and the second one being consumption unit. Essentially, in our operations, we can purchase one ingredient in multiple units. It could be kilograms, it could be pieces, it could be boxes, and so on. So here I'll be selecting two purchase units, one being kilogram and one being numbers. But system will only allow you to use one consumption unit, which means I can only use one particular unit in my recipes. Here I'll be using the unit of grams. Now we come to the section of purchase price. Purchase price is the default price that you want to input into the system. This price will be displayed in all the purchase orders you generate, which will ease down your work. In some of the cases, prices are not decided, so you always have the option of changing the rate when you create a purchase order. For now, we'll be putting the rate of 100 rupees. The second price system is asking is of internal transfer or sale price. Essentially, in chain outlets, internal transfers and sale of raw materials happen. In individual outlets also, there is a possibility that an outlet is selling raw materials along with the dishes. Here, if you want a default sale price to be visible in all your sales documents, you can input it here. The third price is of reconciliation price. I will give you an example for making you understand this. Let us assume that we purchased 10 kg of coconuts. From the 10 kg, 1 kg coconut was marked as wastage by my staff. The next 8 kg was consumed in making dishes. Now there's a difference of 1 kg left with us. But when the staff goes and checks the inventory, they find that there is no coconut left inside the inventory, which means we'll be bearing loss of 1 kg coconut. Now this 1 kg will also need a price so the system can know the amount of loss. We will be putting here the amount of 120 rupees. Then comes the normal loss percentage. We all know coconut comes with a hard shell, and when we purchase it will always come with the shell. In some of the cases it can come without the shell, but for the example we'll be using coconuts which come with the shell. Now as we know, the shell can also have a weight and it is of no use to us. So the system will need to know that how much coconut will you be using after you purchase the coconut. For an example, let us assume that we purchased 10 kilograms of coconut and the approximate weight of the shells of those coconut is 4 kilograms. So we will be putting here the normal loss percentage as 40. So whenever I purchase any amount of coconut, 40% of the coconuts will be considered a normal loss. So as per our example, out of the 10 kg, 4 kilograms of coconut will automatically be discarded by the system, and system will only show 6 kilograms of coconut. This happens when there is a purchase entry done inside the system. Then we come down to taxes. There are two types of taxes. The first being GST and the second being VAT. You can only select one of the taxes. As per your legislature, you can input the amount of tax being collected by your vendor on the specific raw material, or the one that you need to charge on the same raw material. Then comes stock levels. To ease down your operations, we have created two stock level boundaries in Petpooja inventory. The first one being minimum stock level and the second one being at par stock level. Here you'll be asked to select a unit. After selecting the unit, they'll ask you to ascertain the quantity for minimum stock and ascertain the quantity for at par stock. Now let us understand what are the uses of these stock level. We'll take the same example of 10 kg coconuts. Let us assume that I purchased 10 kg coconuts and the par stock level of those coconuts is 3 kg and the minimum stock level of those coconuts is 1 kg. Now as soon as I will be punching in orders into my system of dishes which contain coconut as an ingredient, automatically the stock level of coconut will start reducing. When it hits the 3 kg mark, it will turn off all the items which contain coconut as an ingredient on your aggregator and online menus. This is very useful because your customer experience does not get hampered. The error of getting an order and not having the ingredient inside the stock is eliminated here. Then comes the second step of minimum stock. For a business which is also operating offline and online, offline customers can still punch orders until the 3 kg mark hits the 1 kg mark. So there's a buffer stock of 2 kg. And after the 1 kg mark is hit, which is our minimum stock level, the item will totally disappear from all the menus of the restaurant. This is one of the special features of Petpooja inventory. Now here's a little bit of twist. Let us take the same example of coconuts. Out of 10 kilograms of coconuts, I get an online order which uses 8 kilograms of coconuts. So Petpooja system can accept the order of that amount, but you will be already hitting the point below the par stock. So you'll have to deliver the order even though it goes beyond the par stock, but during the next ordering cycle, the item will be marked unavailable. That is why we always recommend a buffer space between your par stock and your minimum stock, so you can cater to these kind of emergency situations. Then comes the box of closing stock calculated on. which is essentially asking you for the frequency of your stock calculation. It could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be bi-weekly, and you can also select multiple options. It all depends on the ingredient type and your policies. Then comes the section for codes. HSN code, Harmonized System Nomenclature. This is a universal code made for raw materials or goods in general, where a roll number is assigned to particular categories of goods. Whatever HSN code is applicable for your raw material, you can input it here. For example, we are taking 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we reach the last section of raw materials. The first question is private? And there are two options of no or yes. This feature is used in those outlets where selling of raw material and transfers of raw material take place. For example, coconut. An outlet B needs those coconut. So we have a feature where outlet B can request for purchase from outlet A. Now outlet A does not want the other outlet to know that they already have coconut in stock. To enable outlet A for the same, it can click on the yes option here. So while raising the request, outlet B will not be able to know that outlet A has coconuts present in its inventory. The second option is of expiry. We use several kinds of raw materials, it being plastic boxes, packaging boxes, and the ingredients. In some of the cases, there are goods which are not perishable in nature, such as our disposable plastic boxes. So, whether the raw material is able to expire or not, you can select it here. There's an option which asks us use this raw material to turn on off item in online menu when its offline stock is less than at par stock. As discussed earlier, if you want the online menu to automatically turn off the item whose ingredients are below the par stock level, you can click on yes. The last three boxes are especially for Maharashtra excise duty report. We will not be discussing them here. After putting in values, you can click on save changes and the raw material After clicking on save changes, a new window will pop up which will ask you for the unit conversion. We have given the flexibility to you to decide the conversion units for your ingredients. For example, if kilograms are the purchase unit, then the system will ask you to define the conversion rate of the same. So the conversion unit is grams. Therefore, I have written kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. This feature is very useful when the units are not metric based. So in case of numbers, we will have to define what is the approximate gram value of one number of coconut or one quantity of coconut. As per your preference, you can put the details here. So my coconuts are of 100 grams. And I'll click on save unit conversions. So the system will know that whenever I say one number of coconut, it is equal to 100 grams of coconut. There's a note which says you need to change consumption unit if you want to change the conversion unit. Essentially, if I want another unit to be displayed here, I need to come here and change the consumption unit. After clicking on save unit conversions, the raw material will be set up successfully and it will be visible here inside the database. So this was all about raw materials in Petpooja inventory. Thank you.